right, so make sure you're paying attention during this video because I'm not there to make sure that people are not on their phone or not talking. So make sure that you are not the people just being distracting. This video is supposed to be played after the New York State Lab Beaks of Finches has been passed out, and after you have read through the introduction and objectives with the substitute. So if that hasn't been done, go ahead and pause the video. All right, so you guys have read through the introduction. You know about the Galapagos Island finches, and you know that there are lots of different types of finches on the Galapagos Islands, and that they are different according to what food source they have. So the theory behind studying Galapagos finches is that at one time they were the same finch. So they all have a common finch ancestor. And the reason why they changed was because they were separated on the islands and they all had different food sources. So imagine one group of finches, one giant group of finches. Now it's separated on this island and that island and that island and that island, okay? And their food sources are different. So these finches over here are on an island with really small seeds. So over time, the finches with the smaller beaks that are able to get the really tiny seeds are the ones that survive better and are able to reproduce and hatch more chicks. And then over here, you have another island with finches that have, and the island has really big seeds. So the finches over here survive better if they have bigger beaks. So over many generations, how these finches look is going to change. And if how they're looking is changing, then their genome is changing. The genes that they carry as a species are changing. That is really, really important, okay? That is really key because if the genome of a species changes, eventually, it will be considered a different species. Once the genome or all the genes in this group of birds is different enough from this group of birds that they cannot mate, they are considered different species. Okay, we'll talk more about that in class. But here is what you're doing. So you are going to, now the directions are a little different in your New York State lab. But here's the gist of it. What you're doing is you are going to create your own beak, okay, for competition. First, take a look at the seeds, which are up front, but you can see them right here. These are lima beans, but they're going to be our big seeds, okay? So you can see them. You can see these seeds too. These are lentils, but they're going to be our small seeds. So see how little they are? Okay. So what you're going to do is you are going to choose either big seeds or small seeds and create a beak that you think will be really good at picking up either the big or the small seeds, or both. If you're, who knows, maybe you have that much confidence. Maybe you think you can come up with a beak that is really good or better at than any other beak that picking up small and large seeds. Okay, so you're going to take your piece of paper. There are 3 rules to creating this beak. It must have a top and a bottom that come together. Okay, that's what beaks are. They have a top, they have a bottom, they come together. It has to do that. Number 2, you can only use paper. Now, you can modify the paper by folding it, or you can get some scissors and you can cut the paper. That's fine too. You cannot tape the paper. You can't use tape. And you can use more than one piece, okay? So it just has to be paper, and you can use more than one piece if you would like to. You can just use one piece if you want to, or you can use 4. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. There's a lot of paper up front, so you can use whatever you want. And number 3, it must be able to pick up one seed at a time. So if you chose large seeds, okay, it has to be able to pick up one of these at a time. So I took a piece of paper and I folded it up. And I made a little beak, okay? And what you're gonna do after you and your partner, because you should be with a partner for this, after you and a partner, no groups of 3, create a beak. You need to go up to the front and do a little practice. See if it can pick up one seed at a time. Okay, it looks like this one might be best for large seeds, but let's try it on the small seeds. I picked up like 5, so this one will not be very good for small seeds. But remember, if you see people making a bunch of beaks that are really good for large seeds, then you might want to make a beak that's really good at small seeds, because it would be a lot easier to compete against a small number than a large number. Okay? So, after you create your beak with your partner, you go and test it out. But just leave them at the front. So you just go, you test it a little bit, and then you come back to your seat with your beak. Also, I do want to point out that you need to label your beak. You need to write you and your partner's name on it. So I wrote Tayo on mine, because it's mine. Don't steal it. Okay, then you're going to turn the page in your lab. Right here. And you are going to do 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So number 1 says, examine the different tools or beaks and seeds provided. So these are your seeds, and everyone around you, once you're at this point, will have or should have beaks. Okay? Predict which beak will be the most successful at picking up small seeds and give the reason for your choice. So you're going to go around, and if you think your beak will be best at picking up small seeds, then you're going to say that you think your beak will be better at picking up small seeds. If you think it's someone else, I want you to use their name. So if you look around and you see Javion and Isaiah working on a beak, and you think that beak will be best for small seeds, you are going to write their names. Write Javion and Isaiah's beak will be the best at picking up small seeds. And then you have to give reasons why. So you have to say why. Okay? The next one is which beak will be the least successful at picking up small seeds. And then you give your reasons for your choice. So for this one, try not to hurt anyone's feelings. But for this one, you'll go over and you'll say, I think so-and-so's beak probably will be and maybe, who knows, maybe they're making a beak for large seeds, and maybe it will be the worst one for small seeds. Who knows? We're all going to try small seeds at least. So you'll go over and you'll say, okay, I think this beak will be the least effective at picking up small seeds, and then explain the reason for your choice. So I want you to list the names of the people who've made it, and then give reasons for your choice. That is number 2. So number 1, which beak do you think will be the best at small seeds? Number 2, which beak do you think will be the worst at small seeds? Reasons for both. You need to back up both. And then the last one, from this point on, you and your partner will model a finch feeding. So this is just you going up with your beak, which you've already done at this point, and kind of practicing with the seeds. And then it says, describe what characteristics it has to make it good for picking up small seeds. In the remaining space or on a separate sheet of paper, draw an outline of your assigned beak. So sketch the beak that you and your partner made right here. Okay? You just, describe its good characteristics here and sketch it here. Okay? And that is what I expect to be done. I expect you to, number 1, make a paper beak following those rules. Number 2, answer these questions. Okay, so it might be kind of difficult to do 1 and 2 until like most of the way through the period, because that's when you'll have most of the beaks done. So just make sure you give people time to create their beaks, and then once you do, you can go ahead and make your predictions. And remember, it doesn't really matter if you're right with these predictions, it just matters that you make one and that you give reasons why. So if there's like somebody who's still working on their beak and you want to go ahead and make predictions, go ahead, just choose someone's beak and make a prediction and say why. Okay? All right, and that is it. Make sure you're good for the substitute, and I will be back tomorrow.